Since we're broadcasting live today, I thought I would just go ahead and start with the Western Michigan University Marching Band playing our fight song. Let's see how this goes and if you can all hear this. Madison, let me know whenever we're ready to go. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Summer 2020 College Day webinar series. Today's episode, the college application process, is presented by a vibrant group of professionals from Southwest Michigan area colleges. We'll hear first today from Adrienne Hill, and then we'll hear from a panel of admissions specialists. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the KCP College Day Program and the Office of Pre-College Programming at Western Michigan University. This series of webinars connects high school students to the topics, the people, and the resources to help prepare them for their college journey. We come to you virtually and live every Wednesdays from noon to 1 through August 19th. And you'll find that we have webinars, website resources, and lots of speakers who are all focused on our theme, where are you going to college and how can we help you get there? Madison?
All right. The Western Michigan University Land Acknowledgement. We would like to recognize that Western Michigan University is located on lands historically occupied by the Ojibwe, Ottawa, and Potawatomi nations. Please take a moment to acknowledge and honor this ancestral land of the Three Fires Confederacy, the sacred lands of all Indigenous peoples, and their continued presence.
Thanks. Each week, the hosts of this series are here to help spread college knowledge. I'm Dr. Ramona Lewis. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I serve as a faculty member in the Department of Educational Leadership, Research, and Technology at Western Michigan University, and my specialty area is higher education leadership. And with me every week is my partner.
Hi, I'm Madison Liebler. I am assisting Dr. Lewis in creating these webinars and hosting them. I also am a graduate student at Western Michigan University, and I'm studying higher education and student affairs.
So before we get started today, we want to remind all of our Zoom participants that you are welcome to type any questions in the chat or any comments, and you can also participate live in our polling, our trivia questions today. So to kick us off, we will start with our first poll. So Madison, take it away.
Absolutely. So as you can see on the screen, if you're participating via Facebook, you can watch and I will narrate for you what the results are. If you are live with us on Zoom, you should see a poll right in front of you, and I'll give you a minute or so to vote. The first question is, which of the following is not associated with Western Michigan University? So the options are 1903, Bronco, Wolverine, or Mers Tate. And the second one is, as a high school student, when you're visiting colleges and trying to decide which type of college to attend, you are considered the options are a prospect, an admit, an athlete, or a student. And I'll give you another moment to continue voting.
And panelists, don't forget, you can all vote too.
All right. And we're going to wrap up in just a second. And here are our results. So it looks like almost everyone guessed the first one correctly, and that is that a Wolverine is not associated with Western Michigan University. We are the Broncos. The second one, you would be considered a prospect, and that is what almost everyone guessed right as well. So when you're looking for colleges and you're trying to decide, the college is going to consider you a prospect or a prospective student.
Mm-hmm. So I want to just briefly comment that 1903 is the year that Western Michigan University was founded, and so that was associated with WMU. And another piece of trivia, for those of you who are not familiar, Mirza Tate was actually the first African-American female to graduate from Western Michigan University Teachers College. So that's a little bit of trivia and history for you from Western. So we got our first poll. Hopefully you're feeling confident about your knowledge about the college process. And we are going to start today's webinar with our first speaker, who is going to talk to us about the college application process. I'll let Adrienne introduce herself, but we're super excited with all of her background to have her here with us today. Take it away, Adrienne.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lewis. As we get started, while I'm introducing myself, I'd like for all of our participants to put in the chat why you are interested in going to college. And so as we jump into my presentation, my name is Adrienne Hill. You can go to the next slide. Who am I? So I am a first-generation college student, meaning I was the first in my family to obtain a bachelor's degree. I'm from Benton Harbor, Michigan. If you see on the image, it's a little star in Southwest Michigan. I went to the University of Michigan for my undergraduate degree in Ann Arbor. And then after graduation, I obtained my master's degree in educational leadership from Western Michigan University. So like many of you, I was navigating at one point in time the college application process and trying to figure it out and doing much of it on my own. And to come full circle, I now work at Kellogg Community College with the TRIO Upward Bound program, where I help 9th through 12th graders prepare for their own college application processes. Okay. And so if we did get any feedback in the chat as far as why college, some of the reasons you all may have mentioned may be for financial security, to have, and I know this is some of the stuff that was covered a little bit in another webinar if you do go through the web series on the webpage, but just to recap, financial security, more career opportunities. You get networking opportunities with your peers and your professors that extend well past your undergraduate years. You get better health outcomes. Research shows that people who go to college are more likely to lead healthy lifestyles. You get the opportunity to thoroughly explore career options, whether that's through research or sitting and talking with instructors or just navigating different career options that you never even thought about based on the class that you have the opportunity to take. And last but not least, you develop professional and critical thinking skills. A lot of the experiences that you'll have in college, they may come as it may seem like a barrier in the moment, but navigating through that process, it teaches you how to think critically, how to have problem solving skills, and how to apply that to your professional life outside of college. Okay, so you're convinced. Now you're asking me, how do I get started, Adrienne? And so on the next slide, there are 3 steps to remember. First, you should be researching and selecting colleges, jumping into the application process, and then last but certainly not least, scholarships and financial aid. Okay? And so researching and selecting colleges, how do I know where to go? In Michigan alone, we have so many colleges, and that doesn't even compare to how many we have in this country. And so it's very important for you to find your best fit. And when we say best fit, that's you determining if that college has your major. Do they have a clear path to you obtaining your college, your career choice, excuse me? Is it affordable? Where is it located? When I was in college, going to college, all I could think about was getting away from home. I do not want to be here. And so for some of us, we want to get away. For others, we want to stay close. So that's something for you to think about when you're determining your best fit. And size. It's very important for you to think about, do I want to be at a large public somewhere where, you know, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of organizations, there's a lot of space, it has a city feel? Or do I want to go to a small college where I have more intimate relationships with my professors and my classmates? And so again, that's something to think about. And then, as I mentioned, the types of college. So do you want to be at a public college, a private college, a college with a religious affiliation? Do you want to go for 2 years or for 4 years, 2 years and transfer? There are so many options, but these are all the things we want you to think about when determining your best fit and selecting where you are going to go. And most importantly, you have to visit. And so my students this summer, they had to do some virtual campus visits. And so we use the website UVisit. Typically during the academic year, your programs that you're affiliated with may take you on campus visits to college campuses where you can get a real feel for what the landscape is and how it'll be if you were a student there. But due to, you know, our times, that may not be an option this year. And also we have admissions representatives, who come to our high schools as well to give us information and to promote their colleges. That again, we don't know what that may look like this year. So virtual college visits are a great opportunity for you to really explore. And I've put a screen capture here of uvisit.com. It's very easy to navigate. When you go onto the website, you'll say that you're a student, and up in the right-hand corner here, it says college search. You just type in the college that you're interested in. It'll come up. It allows you to do a 3D tour of the campus. It allows you to do a walking tour where there's an admissions guide who's explaining everything. It's really, really awesome. And so I encourage you all to visit, and get a feel for the college that you want to go to. Okay. All right. And so now that you've selected a college, you're like, how many applications do I submit? You know, I have 10 schools that I want to go to. Do I really apply to all of them? And to be honest, I have students who apply to 15 schools, students who apply to 6 schools. But with all of them, I encourage them to apply to a minimum of 3. Typically, I'd like them to apply to 2 of each of these different types of colleges. And so you have a reach college. And what is a reach college? It's what you consider your dream school. You're like, you know, if I look back at this experience and I didn't apply to this school, I'd be devastated. So maybe your credentials, they match up in the lower end of the average, and you know, you may feel like you may get in, but you don't feel, you know, as strong about it as you could. And so that's a reach school, but you're gonna extend yourself and apply to that school because it's your dream college. Your target college is when your credentials align with the average student of the incoming class. So you have a pretty good chance of getting into that school. And then your safety college is you are above the average credentials for a first-year student entering that college or university. And so it gives you some diversity and range in the kind of schools that you're applying to ensure that you'll get accepted and you're not getting rejections, because you want to feel confident in your college application process. All right. So now, where do I apply? I have these schools, but I don't even know how to submit an application, right? So when I was going to school, we did a lot of paper applications, but you know, that's kind of like phasing out as of today as we move, you know, more further with technology. And so all students I encourage to complete a common application, or a coalition application. And both of these platforms allow you to submit one profile and apply to several schools. And so in the past, it would be, you would have to, you know, over and over again, every school that you apply to, you'd have to write all of your information. It was a very long, time-consuming process. And while the common application and coalition application are both still time-consuming, it's significantly less than what it has been in the past. So that helps you to navigate this process much easily. And it'll show you which schools are going to require you to write essays and which schools don't. And so that's what makes the process a little bit faster. But note that some colleges still require you to apply through their website. And so in the state of Michigan, one of those common schools is Grand Valley State University. They're a school that's not on the common application, but you can go to their website and submit an application. And then just as a note here, when you are applying, you want to make sure you have a professional email address. This is always the first thing I tell my students, or one of the first tips is when you're submitting applications, you want them all to go to the same email and you want it to be professional. So it's not Adrienne Hart's XOXO 2009 at Gmail. You know, it's fun when we're younger, but as you mature, you want something that says Adrienne Hill at gmail.com or Rogers Chris at yahoo.com instead of good girl with 3s for E's and 0s for O's. You know, it's fun, but we got to transition a little bit and make sure that you write it down and you continue to use the same one, okay? All right, and so what do I need to apply? So these are the main things we need. We need our transcripts, and this is your high school transcript as well as any college transcripts that you have. So if you took dual enrollment courses, it'll be important for you to get those transcripts sent when you submit your college applications. And transcripts can be sent either by email or mail, depending on the college preference. Or they can be sent by parchment. Usually you can work with your registrar or your counselor or your college advisor to get those things sent over. You'll need your test scores. So that's ACT and SAT and all of your retakes. The colleges need copies of all of those scores. And so here I've put the upcoming ACT and SAT dates. Some of them have changed due to COVID. So, and a lot of those deadlines are quickly approaching. So make sure that you guys are getting registered, and you may be eligible for a fee waiver for the ACT and SAT as well. If you get free and reduced lunch, again, that's something you should be sure to talk to your counselor or college advisor about. Next, you'll need extracurriculars and community service. Many colleges are going to want to know what difference did you make within your high school community or your community at large. They want to know what kind of person they're bringing to their campus, what leadership skills you have. And so that's why they ask what you've been involved in and in what ways have you given back to your community. Essays. These are very, very important. Say you had a rough semester in high school. During this time, this is a time that you can explain maybe what were the circumstances around that situation and what you've learned, what makes you stand out, what experiences or leadership qualities you can bring to campus. It gives them a true picture into who you are rather than just them looking at your grades and deciding based on that. So it makes you a well-rounded student for them to review you holistically. And last, but certainly not least, are teacher recommendations. So these are very important as well. You always want to be on the good side of your teachers and have someone who can speak to what kind of student you'll be and what you'll bring to that campus community. So if you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, it's very important for you to start building those relationships now and making a list of who you'll want to be a teacher recommendation, okay? All right, and so when is the deadline and how much does it cost to apply? And so there are 4 different types of deadlines. So we have, well, I'll just be honest. I tell my students that they have one deadline, and the deadline is the early action and early decision deadline. And so I like to use a little, I like to say, boo, if you miss this deadline, it's scary. And I associate it with Halloween. So Halloween, you know, that's the time. If you miss this deadline, it's going to be a fright. And so the early action deadline is November 1st. That's for most of our colleges and institutions. But early decision is November 1st as well. However, that's you committing to that university versus keeping your options open. And then we have regular admissions and rolling admissions where, you know, you can submit applications early to mid-January, but you'll find out your decisions a little bit later, okay? And then as far as how much does it cost to apply, fee waivers are very, very, very important. If you are free and reduced lunch or you have other circumstances that will qualify you for a fee waiver, talk to your counselor or college advisor because oftentimes, more than not, we're eligible for fee waivers, and your college advisor will get with the admissions rep. I do it all the time. I'm calling the admissions representative, asking them for those fee waiver codes for my students who are eligible. And my students would never know if they didn't ask or if they didn't have a resource for them to, you know, advocate on their behalf. So make sure you guys are asking about fee waivers. And on the Common App, it gives you an opportunity to select qualifiers that will tell you if you're eligible for a fee waiver or not, okay? All right, and then our last step in the 3-step process is scholarships and financial aid. So how do I pay for college? Now, I believe next week we have another web series that's going to be talking about this more holistically and in depth, but I always have to mention the FAFSA. And so know that this is available starting October 1st, 2020, and this is the free application for federal student aid. And so this application will let you know if you're eligible for grants and work study and things that can help you to pay for your college application. Your college career, and scholarships. Start applying for scholarships now, not tomorrow, not next week, not after you get into a college. You have to apply now because many of those national scholarships are going to be due by October. So I just encourage you guys to jump ahead of your college application process while you're out of school, because once school starts, it's going to be hectic, and to just get everything done. And that is all that I have for today. I'm going to jump back to Dr. Lewis and Madison, who will introduce our panel.
Thank you, Adrienne. That was a great overview of the college application process, and it's clear that you've been very successful in working with your students. I appreciated that boo reminder about that was a great one. And so I also just want to say, for many of you, you've heard a lot of information today, and you might be thinking like, oh my gosh, how do I get started? So we're going to talk a little bit about that at the end when we have some question time. But now I want to take a minute to introduce you to our panels. So our admissions representatives, if you want to go ahead and join us with your video and unmute yourselves. So one of the things I heard about when putting this series together was that one of the best things we could do for you students is connect you to some people in the local area who might be able to help you in the college admissions process. So we listened and we did that. So today you have admissions representatives from several colleges around the greater Kalamazoo area. And they're gonna share with you a little bit about their tips or their hints for applying for college. So we'll let them introduce themselves and give you their tips. And after they all do that, we'll go back to questions and answers that some of you may have about the college application process. So I guess we'll let you go in the order that you like to today. And thank you, panelists, for being with us.
All right, well, tell you what, my name's at the top of the list, so I guess that means I'll go first. Hi, everybody. My name is Marcus Johnson. I'm Assistant Director of Admission at Kalamazoo College. I have been at Kalamazoo for 7 years, at Kalamazoo College for 7 years doing admission, and I've lived in the greater Kalamazoo area for the past 15 years. One tip I would usually tell students as they're beginning the college search process is to make sure that you set flexible expectations for your college search. So that basically means understanding that not every college is going to automatically give you a full academic scholarship to go to college. That's okay. You can be flexible. There are ways to finance that. There are ways to work with colleges on that. Not every college is going to agree with you that you are ready to go into their nursing program or go to their medical school program. That's okay. Stay flexible. There is definitely a path to the college, to the career that you want to get into, but it's really important to stay flexible.
Hi, everyone. I'll go next. My name is Megan Pawkin, and I'm the Director of Enrollment Management at Kalamazoo Valley Community College. I've been with Kalamazoo Valley for 8 years, and before that I was at Western Michigan University in their admissions office, and I was actually an art teacher in Northern Michigan and at Kalamazoo Public Schools. So happy to be here today. So for me, I think a couple things as far as advice goes for students. Don't be afraid to reach out to a college. Colleges love to hear from prospective students. It's not going to necessarily, tie you into anything. So if you have a question, there are so many different ways to do it. From usually there's chat functions on websites, to email, to phone calls, to attending an event or participating in a virtual event. So just start digging and doing some research now. And I think for me, another thing that I see often is that students really can start early. I mean, start shopping and thinking about colleges, of course. You can apply as early as the fall of your senior year if you're looking for the following fall. But a big piece with that is start thinking about careers you may enjoy. We often think about college directly, but it's really important to get an idea of what kind of jobs you might like. And it might even be as simple as, do I like to work at home? Do I like to work in an office setting? Do I like to be outside? But thinking about things and careers you may like may also help narrow down your college search and make you a little bit more aware of what you might want to study in school. So I would say for me, those are some great things that I think about for students. So glad to be here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Perez. I'm an admissions counselor from Western Michigan University. I have had the privilege of serving in a variety of areas here at Western Michigan. I also am a first-generation college student, first in my family to get a bachelor's degree, first in my family to get a master's degree. So like you, when you're going through the college search process, you might have a lot of questions, but you also might not know what questions to ask. And don't be afraid of that. We definitely want to help you as much as we can. So when you get connected with your admissions counselor, be sure to ask them, what are your high points? What are the big things that make you stand out amongst other schools that I might be looking at? Starting the conversation with us there can help us kind of drive and figure out, what are you passionate about? What are you looking for out of your school of choice? And that'll help direct the conversation that we go there from.
Hi, my name is Roderick Simmons. I'm the manager of recruitment and student outreach here at Kellogg Community College. For those who may not be aware of where we're actually located in Battle Creek, Michigan. So my tidbit of advice for you is going to be an echo of what Adrienne mentioned earlier, but I'm going to take it to the next level. I encourage you all to use another email address beyond your high school email account. The reason why with your high school email account, your high school will eventually deactivate your account. So if you were to lose your passwords and we send out resets, whatever the case may be, we're going to try to send it to your high school, which you no longer have access to. So in that case, what you want to do, create a professional email account, as Adrienne mentioned, and use Gmail, Yahoo, or whatever service out there. Therefore, you always have the right access to get in contact with us once you apply to college.
Awesome. So those were some really great tips. Thank you all so much. We do have some questions in the chat, and I will remind all of our viewers, if you have a question, go ahead and type it into the chat. You can direct it to everyone in the chat, or you can send it to your host, your panelists, whatever you would like. So our first question is, should I be planning to go to college this year with COVID going on?
Good question. Panelists and Adrienne, do one of you want to take that on as a kind of a big question that could be general for everyone? Raise your hand and, okay, Anthony, go for it. And then Marcus.
So definitely encouraging you to go to college this year, especially with COVID going on, because schools are doing a variety of things to make sure that we can meet your needs and still give you the extreme amount of support as well as the superior education that you're paying for. One of the nice benefits of being in an online distance education at a college or university is that the reduced price for online courses. And so you don't want to necessarily delay your program if you can find other ways that you're still going to get your superior education. You're still going to be engaged in the classroom. Professors have all been very, very supportive about making that transition. So that way you have everything you need to be successful inside and out of the classroom, whether you're in person or whether you're asynchronous, online, or virtual, whatever that might look like for you. So I highly encourage it. It's just about talking to your academic advisors as well as your faculty members to see what it is that they're planning and how they can then support you in that process.
Okay, so I can jump in here. So I would echo what Anthony said. Yes, definitely consider still going to college this upcoming year, even with the pandemic going on. Keep in mind that most expectations out there for college are going to say that, like, as a college graduate, you're probably going to be making more than you would as a high school graduate. So that year that you wait to start college, could be a year that you're not out being productive in the workforce. So that investment of time, that could actually mean something. So all that, and also remember what I said in my tip, be really flexible and learn how to manage your expectations as you go through the college search process. So one of those expectations, like especially for a lot of our students this year, they're realizing that they can't have the same on-campus, in-person small classroom experience that we highlighted when we were talking to them as recruits for the college. That's an expectation that unfortunately had to be managed, and I encourage folks to make sure that you're flexible with that.
Thank you for that.
Great. So our next question is one that I feel like I heard a lot in high school for sure. What extracurriculars should I do to look good on college applications?
Megan or Roderick, you want to take a stab at those?
So as far as extracurricular, there could be many things that you do. It could be if you were part of the yearbook club. There's oftentimes in your high school, you may have different organizations you could take part in. But not only that, if you're giving back at your church or another organization within your community, all of that stands out. And not only that will it help with the admissions process, but it's going to greatly help you out with scholarships, because what we're looking for is a well-rounded student, that you know how to manage your academics, and also you're giving back, that you're actually involved in your developing those leadership skills. And of course, once you get to college, those are going to get developed even more. So those are different options that you can look at. If you're going to the nursing home, you're just decided to stop by, give sandwiches, or just a greeting and making the residents feeling good about themselves, that is an option that you can do as well. So there's tons of options you have there.
Yeah, I would just like to echo that too and say that in addition for an application search and having that be part of like selection criteria for a scholarship or for college, the other nice part of that is that it helps you see where you build community at, which coming to a new environment, whether it's virtually or in person to a college or an institution, really that's going to be a key part, is building community. So I think really just having anything that you have found relationship building pieces that you found that you relate to, whether that is through a job or it's through an extracurricular or even like an academic, fine arts offering or something through your school, all of that is helpful so that you can help to find commonality at the schools that you're researching, and then be able to get involved there to help build community as you transition to a new place.
Thank you.
Great. And it looks like I have one more question so far. So the question is, can I still get into college if I don't have great grades?
Megan and Adrienne, you want to take a stab, and then we'll see who else wants to talk?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Adrienne.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, you can absolutely still get into college, regardless of your grades. You just have to find one, like I said before, that matches your credential profile. And so I do encourage my students still to start at a community college. If you want to begin there, you can go and you can do your requirements, your prerequisites, and then you can transfer. I know at Kellogg Community College, we have great pathways to bachelor degrees, and as do many community colleges. And so there's always options for you to obtain your college degree. And so don't be discouraged. High school, we go through a lot of transitions and phases and learning who we are and learning how we study best and our skill set. And so this isn't particular to just you, as many of us in that situation may think, why me? Or you may be the only one facing that dilemma. This happens all the time, and just work with your counselor, your advisor, to figure it out. There's a college for you.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything, Megan?
Sure. So the other part with that too, I think, Adrienne, you summed up what I was going to say as well. But absolutely, when you're looking at colleges, we've talked a lot today about selective institutions that require an application and have a selection process. But for community colleges in the state of Michigan, as Adrienne mentioned, we are open door institutions, which mean that we don't actually need to review your high school transcript and your GPA necessarily for admission into the institution. If you apply, you're going to be accepted. That being said, we do look at placement scores. That can be a little different depending on the institution you're looking at. So for example, we may review ACT or SAT scores that you took, or if you think maybe I didn't do so hot on those, or it's been a while, I'd love to retest. We do offer other placement options, and that just shows us from math, reading, and writing where's the right fit for you. Because we know that life is all about seasons, and one representation, for example, maybe in high school, you were in a specific season that has changed, and so we don't necessarily take that into consideration at community college level for admission into the institution. And the other highlight to this is when you go somewhere new, you're starting over. So your GPA will start fresh. So if you really kick it in your first round of classes, you can start off with a 4.0 regardless of what you had in high school. Similar from a transition from middle school to high school. So it's all about seasons, and we give you new opportunity there. But if you are concerned with a GPA, a community college is an excellent option to consider.
Yeah, and I'll add that we have kind of an addition to that question. Another student has asked, how much can I improve my GPA my senior year of high school? If it's a 3.25, I'm taking AP classes and dual enrolling.
I think
Marcus and Adrienne, looks like you want to both weigh in here. Adrienne, go ahead, and then Marcus.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I can speak to that a little bit. When you're thinking about moving your GPA, it does depend on what the rest of your, transcript looks like because they're weighted. But AP classes and dual enrollment, if they're weighted more at your high school, it can move your GPA up. I can't tell you for sure like how much significant impact it may have. But it always looks good to have those more difficult and strenuous classes on your transcript and to show like that how much improvement you've had over your high school career, especially for an admissions counselor. I'm sure that they'd be able to see your progression and improvement over time. Marcus, did you want to jump in?
Yes, so I would add to that, in addition to, first jumping back to the point about community colleges are also great places to prepare for transitioning over to four-year institutions. I also work with transfer students at Kalamazoo College, and I have seen a lot of great success stories coming from people who didn't have a great experience at high school, went to a community college for a couple years, got some great preparatory work, and then transferred successfully over to Kalamazoo for their final 2 years. So for the student who had a question about like having a 3.2 GPA, again, like Adrienne said, I can't do the math in my head to determine like how many A's you would need to get in your senior year to bump it up enough. But at Kalamazoo, when we take a look at your application, we're looking at your GPA alongside the curriculum that you're taking, the extracurricular activities that you tell us about, and the essay that you write for us. So all four of those things kind of balance each other out. So I would also have you kind of keep that in mind. Don't try to take like all AP courses and all dual enrollment courses in your senior year if it's significantly harder than what you did in your junior year. But at the same time, realize that we're looking at a balance of different factors that we know are going to make you a successful student at K.
Right. And to the student who asked that, if you wanted to follow up with any of these folks individually, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to speak with you about that. And they might even be willing to sit down and help you do the math about how many A's you need to get that GPA that you want. But I also want to make sure all students know your high school GPA is not the end of the story. I think you've heard that lesson here. And if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, there's so much to think about the college process, I'll tell you a little story. When I applied for college, when it was time, I felt a bit overwhelmed. And I ended up picking a school that had the shortest application. Oh my gosh, can you believe I'm saying that right now? That had the shortest application because I just didn't know what to do. It turned out great for me. I went to a great school in Arizona State University. I went on to graduate school. I went on to get my doctorate, and I turned out okay. So there's lots of stories like that out there. And you're not alone if you're feeling overwhelmed, but I think the message here is there's lots of people, and admissions counselors are there to help you. So please do reach out to them, whether it's your reach school, your safe school, or your school that you think you know you can get into. So Madison, was there any final questions?
Nope. So without further ado, thank you again to all of our panelists and everyone. Before we leave, we have another poll. So I'm going to pull that up for you all today. Here we go. So the first question is, what is the common application? The options are an application to only one school, an application that applies to many schools at once, an application for a job, or an application for WMU. And then we also have the second question, which is true or false? All college applications are the same. So once again, I'll give you another moment. All right. And here are our results. So everyone got them correct. So yay, we were all listening. And yes, the common application, if you remember from the presentation, is an application that applies to many schools at once. Remember though what Adrienne says, it doesn't mean that that one school that you're thinking about might not be in that list. So make sure you double check and make sure you're looking and being careful that you are applying to the ones that you want to apply to. All right, and then the second question, everyone got correct as well. It is false. All applications are not the same. Some of them are going to ask you for essays. Some of them might have a cost. So make sure you check those out before you're getting ready to sit down and actually fill them out. Make sure you kind of know, how much is this going to cost? What are the essay requirements and things like that. So thank you all so much.
And a lesson that I can share from just this is be sure you proofread your college application essays, unlike how I did not proofread the polls that we posted today. Don't be like me. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today. We're so grateful, Marcus, Roderick, Anthony, Megan, and Adrienne, for representing the campuses that you're from. And we thank you for all the work that you do to support students who are applying to college in the Southwest Michigan area and across the country and the world, because I know all of your schools also serve international students. So thank you so much. Great to have you on today. And thank you, Madison, for your hosting and running the polls. What a great way to continue our series. And so we finished the college application process. And next week, we'll be hearing about a question on everyone's mind, which is how to pay for college. So big question for folks. Don't forget that all the College Day students who attend this webinar and watch it, or even watch it afterwards recorded, will receive a free t-shirt. Never gonna have too many of those. And be sure that you let us know if you have any additional questions. Please be sure to visit our website where there's lots of great additional information about applying to college. So thank you so much, everyone. To our panelists, we thank you. And students, where are you applying to college and how can we help you get there?